Okay.
for the rest of the folks to get in. As they are coming in today, I want to thank everyone for coming. We are going to start out with a few words from Ann Goodnight and Clarence Pickett, the co-vice chairs of the search committee, and then we'll move quickly to President-elect Spellings. She is on a very tight time travel schedule today, so we will have to keep this relatively brief. But when you ask questions, I would ask as a courtesy to her that you would give your name and identify the outlet you're with, and we'll take as many questions as we have an opportunity for, and then I will call the question when we're getting short on time. So, Anne, would you like to lead us off, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. After a very arduous process that lasted 7 months and many, many hours, we are thrilled that President-elect Spellings has been unanimously elected by the Board of Governors. So it's a very happy day for the university and for North Carolina. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Anne. Joan McNeil, our able and passionate chair of the search committee, could not be here today due to a previously scheduled vacation out of the country. I'd be remiss if I did not recognize her good work and the work of the entire committee and Board of Governors. That passion and commitment is what got us here today. And as a result, I am ever so grateful to ask President-elect Margaret Spellings to make a few remarks.
Thank you, Will. As Ann said, I was kind enough to say it's a happy day for you all. It's a very happy day for Margaret Spellings, too. I'm thrilled to be coming here. I'm thrilled for this next chapter in my career and for the opportunity to lead this fine institution or set of institutions to the place of national prominence. And I'm just thrilled to be here. I'm glad to answer any questions that you all might have. I'm sorry I have to have a little bit of an excused absence this afternoon, but glad to answer. And please do identify yourself.
President Spellings, my name is Jonathan Drew from the Associated Press. Given that your background was predominantly in government as opposed to at universities, do you feel that you were brought here to change things? And also, what do you think the faculty will think of your background coming in?
Well, higher education is changing, and we have to change with it. And the faculty know that. We all know that. Our publics are demanding that. They want a good value proposition, and they want it affordably. They want to complete in ways that are convenient to them, and we are going to meet those challenges. And I know that the faculty and every stakeholder, the staff, the community, the elected officials will join in this shared goal that we have. You know, I expect the faculty to react well to my appointment, and you know, I have skills that are different from theirs. I'm not an academic, and I'm not a teacher. I'm not a researcher. I'm somebody who understands public policy making. I understand advocacy. I understand how to bring people together around a shared mission, and I have a track record of doing that in my career. And so I think there's plenty of work for everybody. And I look forward to working with the faculty in this state to advance our shared cause.
Ms. Spelling, Bill O'Neill, WXII TV. Is there a message you would like to send to those faculty and staff members who perhaps are not thrilled with your selection?
Well, I would ask them to give me a chance, and as I said, I'm thrilled to be working with them. We have a lot in common, much more in common than we do that separates us. Including serving every single student and citizen in this state in the best possible ways.
Ms. Spellings, Chris Williams from Tom Wayne Campbell News.
Hi,
What
Chris.
is your plan in moving UNC Chapel Hill forward after the athlete academic scandal?
So my first thing, obviously, is to get about this state and listen and learn. And I'm going to get to every single institution in this system as quickly as possible and put the right stakeholders together so that I can get as smart as I can as soon as I can. But my expectation is that a lot of the issues that are challenging this state are those that challenge states all around the country. Affordability and completion, access, and responsiveness to our employers and so forth. And so I'm going to learn a lot, and I'm going to work with the board, obviously, to develop a vision around those challenges that's measurable, that people can hold us accountable to, and we're going to get to work on it.
President Spellings, Colin Browder with WRAL TV. You were unanimously elected just now, but getting to this point, there's been a lot of angst with the search process. We've heard complaints from Board of Governors, lawmakers, faculty, and students. In that environment, how do you move forward as the new leader?
Well, so I will obviously defer to the board members for any other commentary about the process. I personally think they got a terrific result, and look forward to assuming this post.
Just in regards to, there's a lot of discomfort moving forward, and that puts you, I would say, at a disadvantage. How do you deal with that?
You know, I don't see it like that. I'm going to get to work and build relationships with every single stakeholder. I know a good bit about the business. I know we have a lot in common about where we think we want to go together, and I expect to have extremely productive relationships with every one of them. I really do.
Have you been able to speak with President, or I guess current President Tom Ross, and if not, do you plan to?
I absolutely have a call list that's about 5 pages long today. I obviously expect to talk to him and all my predecessors, and as well as every single chancellor, the legislative stakeholders, the leaders in the community college and K-12 systems, and on and on. So you bet.
So
Madam
you
Secretary,
haven't
there have been budget cuts to the system in the last few years. Tuition is going up. What's your plan for getting more or creating efficiencies?
Well, as I said, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the data. I'm going to learn and listen and find out what the facts are. You know, I think that is our challenge, not just in North Carolina, but all over this country, about how we're going to, you know, use all of our resources as productively as possible. And North Carolina has a terrific foundation in doing that. It's one of the leaders, as you all know, something to be cherished absolutely. That tuition in this state has been something that these leaders, these state leaders, have really kept their eye on, and we're going to continue to do that.
What is your response to the LGBTQ community over your past comments regarding their sexual orientation and lifestyle?
I have no comment about those lifestyles. If you're referring to the issue when I was early in my tenure as Secretary of Education, we had a controversy over funding for a program called Buster the Bunny that is targeted at preschool children, and you know, I involved myself with that because it was brought to my attention about the use of federal funds around that type of programming. But you know, that's a matter of how we use taxpayer dollars, not any particular view that I have on particular groups of people or indivials.
Ms. Spellings,
UNCN News.
Jane Stansel with the News and Observer.
Hi, Jane.
I wanted to ask you about.
I've seen your byline a lot.
I'd like to ask you about the Higher Ed Commission that you created, and how you might apply those ideas now at UNC.
Well, you know, one of the thoughts I've had is in 2016 we'll have the 10-year anniversary of the commission, and as you know, Governor Hunt was one of the members of it. It was a very diverse and broad group of folks, and I think it's time, if 10 years hence, to revisit how much progress we've made around those issues of affordability and accountability and access. They're still very ripe, still very much before us. I'm proud that the commission kicked off a lot of activity, the Gates Foundation, the university community. There have been lots of responses to that, and we ought to take stock of what we've done in the last 10 years and see what's left to do.
Bo Minnick, WNCN. How would you say that your presidency will be different than Tom Ross's presidency? What will we see that's different?
Well, I can't speak to Tom Ross's presidency with a great deal of specificity, so I won't. But what I can tell you is that my approach to public policy and to tackling these very big challenges that are before us is to start with first principles. Let's agree what our goals are. Let's find out how we're going to keep track of that progress. How are we going to use data? How are we going to use people? How are we going to use time to go to those tasks? And that we, you know, block and tackle against them over days and months and years, and we check ourselves. So that's how I approach, whether it's, you know, immigration reform or K-12 policy making or higher ed or the Spellings Commission or anything, that we have to start with first principles. What are we trying to do here? You know, in K-12 education, it's all children reading on grade level by the end of third grade. That's what we can say it in a sentence. So what is that in higher education, and how do we bring all stakeholders together around that big goal?
Jesse
Yeah.
Saffron, Pope Center for Higher Education. What do you view as the proper role of the UNC System Board of Governors going forward?
Well, clearly, this is a board that has a mandate from the legislature, if you will. And I certainly understand that every law that's on the books of this and every other state comes from a state constitution and legislative record. And so that's certainly true in this case. My expectation is that I'll work with the Board of Governors to bring them together around our shared goals, to be about results over process. That we want to, get folks organized around, a few very powerful, very strategic goals. And, I expect to be in conversation with the board very shortly about how to do that.
Terry Travis, Carolina Journal. Reports say you recently met with Governor Torres. I was wondering what kind of input that he's giving you and what kind of vision he will share with UNC system going forward.
Yes, I met with him, I guess a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, but my trips to North Carolina are running together now, and that's a good thing. I would say that it was a very cordial visit. It wasn't, terribly substantive on policy. It was mostly an introductory visit. I had not met him before, and so we, pledged to continue to communicate and work together, just like I'm going to do with everybody else.
You mentioned so much of your career has been in public policy, which by its very nature, it can be very political. In regards to your new job, do you bring politics to the table, or does that get checked at the door?
These are all political settings. That's how we make public policy in this country and in this state, in a political setting. That's what we call a democracy, obviously. And, it's the fun of it, because that's why it's so important to be able to, understand what are we trying to do here, that our publics understand that too, that our leaders and legislators and funders and stakeholders are bought into it, and that we're moving out around that shared vision. And so you bet, that's what makes it fun. That's what provides input. That's what allows us to make course corrections where needed. So you bet, I think it's a fantastic way to make policy, is in a political setting, because that's the setting that we operate in.
Hi, Sarah Obasco with NC Policy Watch. Can you talk a little bit more about the comments you made about closing the achievement gap at all levels and access to higher education and what you meant by that?
Sure. We all know this is the global knowledge economy. And our record today in this country of having completion rates that are good enough for Hispanic and African American students in particular falls woefully short. If we know that most of the jobs require post-secondary education and not enough of our people have those levels of skill and attainment, they will not have access to the American dream. And we want to protect and treasure and elevate all of the things that we do so well: research, innovation, technology transfer. But we also have to turn our attention more vigorously to opportunity for all. I really, really believe that.
What stands out to you? You mentioned that you were learning North Carolina. What stands out to you about North Carolina?
Well, first of all, the people, of course. And I've never met anybody that lived here or was from here that A, I didn't like, and B, didn't like living here. And so I wanted to, join the party. It's a beautiful state, as you all know, with incredible quality of life, with an unbelievable intellectual vibrancy in every sector, in the arts and the sciences. It's just, fantastic. And in a place that, still has, your next door neighbor kind of thing, or it feels that way anyway. So that's what drew me to it. There's a lot going on here. It's a growing state. It's an important state in our country. Just every bit of the assets that you would want to have at your disposal to make for a great place to live are here at play in North Carolina. That's why I'm coming.
Ms. Spellings, I'd like to ask you about your experience with the for-profit higher education sector and how you see that fitting in, and was that a good experience for you, and do you support their way of doing business?
I served as a member of the Apollo Board of Trustees, the Board of Directors for about a year after my life in public service. And I think that there is plenty of room and plenty of opportunity for every single higher education provider, whether it's the for-profit sector, whether it's the nonprofit sector, the private sector, you name it, we need it, because we have lots of work to do to reach the kind of attainment that we need to. And so I don't think we should be threatened by that. That industry invented higher education in a way that was more convenient for working adults. And many in traditional higher education have responded to it. Kind of a la carte offerings, MOOCs, more technology-based programs. And so I think the reason I did it was because I learned a lot about how we can serve our students and think of them as customers and providing a product in convenient ways for them.
Mark Shiver, the Rhino Times. One of the problems that we've heard repeatedly is that kids coming to college, both community colleges and universities, needing remedial reading help. There was talk this past legislative session about having community colleges go into the public schools to help the juniors and seniors. Do you see the university system sharing the same type of collaborative role with the K-12?
Well, I think absolutely we have to collaborate from K-12 to community colleges to our four-year institutions, and we have to be knitted together in really effective ways. And I know there's been a lot of work done on articulation and the ability to transfer courses and to stop asking our students to waste time and money, duplicating effort and so forth. And so that's a great start. But you bet, one of the things that we can do, or a couple of the things we can do, obviously, is make sure that we in our four-year institutions are preparing the most effective, most skilled, very best teachers to teach in our K-12 systems. Secondly, we can provide the very best research around what's effective in education. The reading wars, as they were known, were settled because the brain scientists brought to the table the definitive word about how little children learn how to read. And so that's the kind of thing that comes out of higher education, that comes out of our finest institutions, that we can put into practice in our K-12 systems and in our community colleges so that we're all moving the needle.
You spoken to former President Bush about this job?
I have. Yes, indeed, I have. Are you kidding me? Yeah, he's my boss. Of course I did. Wouldn't be up here. I don't want him to read it in the newspaper. He is, I've worked for him for a long time, and, I tell young people, when you find a good boss, stick with him, and I certainly have done that. He's given me incredible opportunities. He's sad to see me go. My understanding is he's putting out a statement today, but he's a great friend, and he was extremely supportive of this incredible opportunity for me.
Any other questions?
I'm Gavin Stone from the Technician. Going back to the controversy or the criticism that Chairman Fenris got for your appointment, do you feel that you were chosen by Chairman Fenris or the board as a whole?
Absolutely, the board as a whole, and I'll defer to the members of the board, but I have had multiple opportunities to meet with the search committee and clearly with the full board, and unless they're Academy Award-winning actors and actresses, I feel very strongly supported by them, and it was a key part of my desire to work here.
I would like to add that it was Isaacson Miller that brought Margaret's name to us as a search committee. And Margaret actually was the first interview of 14 interviews that we did in the process. And we went around the table. It was 100% by the search committee that this woman would be a great leader for UNC.
All right, I gotta hit the trail. Thank you all. See you soon.
We're going to take
Oh,
you
this
out
way? Okay, all right.
this other way. Thank you.
Folks, the faculty assembly will have a statement and we'll take some questions. We'll meet outside. We'll give you 5 or 8 minutes to move your gear if you're interested in joining us. Thank you.
We have packets here that have bio information.